Hello, it's Trueness again, and thank you again. Before I go any further, thank you for subscribing to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed to the author page of Trueness Goggins with the 4Ps of You and the 4Ps podcast, please go to that right now and please subscribe. There's some good stuff on there, and I always share as much as I can, as many times as I can, to make sure that you know what's going on in the 4Ps universe. Yes. Back in it was the beginning of the year. I wasn't feeling too well. Wasn't feeling well at all, and I had a couple of podcast episodes, and I had some wonderful, fantastic interviews. And you know what? Because I wasn't feeling right, I wasn't really promoting those podcast episodes that much. And so I decided it's the summer months, and I wanted to bring those podcast interviews to the forefront and actually re-edit those episodes, because after what I learned, because I know when I was sitting there listening to some of them, I was in a daze. I might have had some cough medicine. I don't know what I had in my system, but I was not feeling the best. I know I had COVID. I had all these other vids and ids going on during that time. But one of the episodes and one of the interviews that I had was an interview with Billy Ballinger. And I'm going to tell you, when I first did his interview, I couldn't even, because I was like, serious, I was dazed and confused. I started off the interview and I literally messed up his name, and I feel so bad for that. I really do. But by the time I got about maybe 4 minutes into this interview, I forgot that I wasn't feeling well at all. The interview was just, it was 45 minutes, which I usually don't go that long on my interviews. But this was 45 minutes, and I could not stop hearing his story. His story's so good, I put a 2-minute clip in there just for you. Check this out.
2 years, people hear my story and they're like, man, you were crazy. I said, well, I didn't get to be bad for very long. It lasted about 2 years. So we get married. I stay on the run until I turn 18. And we get married at 17, 18. I'm 18, Jody's 17. Her mom wouldn't sign. Her dad did sign for us to get married. My daughter is born 5 months after we get married. My house becomes the party house. We move here, we move there. We don't really make much money. I start selling a little bit of marijuana, buying stolen property. 212 West 5th Street. That was the house. On a Monday afternoon, 2 p.m., of all places to be arrested, when a SWAT team raids my house. Now, the reason the SWAT team came in is because I had started that violent reputation.
Right.
And this whole crowd, they love me now. Like, I think they love me. I've become the guy that is like, don't mess with him. And for some reason, I fed on that.
Right.
So I think that's the stupidest thing. Why would you want to do that? Well, for me, in my head, I thought that elevated you to some status, because I was beat up for whatever reason. I got beat up by a girl in the 8th grade in front of 50 people in my school. So I remembered, it just seemed like that somebody was always wanting to push me in the hallway, beat me up, hit me in the jaw, smack me around, right, pick on me on the bus. It was just year after year. So all that built up, see? And now at the party, I didn't have to fear. I wasn't worried about that now. And then just to hear somebody say those words, that I was crazy, was like, to me, a compliment. It really wasn't the real me. I must tell you, it was fake.
Right.
Because, it really wasn't the real me. I was really that soft-hearted kid, But anyway, who had a dream when he was 7 years old of doing something musically, but I had set it aside. I guess. And, but anyway, long story short, man, 212 West 5th Street, of all places to be arrested, SWAT team raids my house. And they did it because a buddy of mine had stole a duffel bag full of marijuana, 9mm pistol, and he also stole, it was like $900 in cash or something like that. But he stole that from one of the dealers on the south side. Some guys we didn't like. We knew them. They knew us. We didn't like them. They didn't like us.
Right.
Regardless of how much it was, it really ticked those guys off. And so it started a war. So they were, it was just a lot of back and forth things. I mean, my wife and my daughter's on my front porch. My little baby girl, Jody's holding her one night. They come by and start shooting over her head. crazy stuff, Now, the only reason I didn't steal it, but the only reason I'm involved in it is because you know how it goes.
Yeah.
You're gonna stand with your buddies, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the police needed to crack down on us before, and the newspaper article that I have says to stop the foolish series of violence and shootings on the south side of Muncie. They arrested.
I just got you, didn't I? I stopped right at the point to where you are totally into this interview and you're totally into this man's story. Billy Ballinger, his story is riveting. And when you hear what happens after he gets arrested, you are going to be absolutely amazed. Right now, I will tell you that Billy Ballinger is a musician. He is touring right now as we speak. And even in my YouTube notes at the end of this video, you will be able to see where you'll have a link and you'll be able to see where he is going to be next. And also in the podcast notes, after you watch the podcast, there is a link for him there as well. I will be talking to you soon. This interview will be downloaded shortly. You have a great day and remember the 4 Ps.